And this evening I'm going to take a few shlokas from the 12th chapter. And these are, in fact, some set of shlokas which are one of my favorites in the Bhagavad Gita. So let me first read the shlokas to you. These are the 6th to 11th shloka from 12th chapter. For those who venerate only me, offering to me all their actions, with their minds concentrated on me by yoga practice, and their hearts' feelings uplifted to me in devotion, such devotees I rescue from the ocean of mortality. Immerse your consciousness in me alone, direct all your discrimination toward finding me, then beyond any doubt you shall come to me. O Dhananjay, if you cannot absorb your thoughts in the contemplation of me, then practice the techniques of yoga, which are intended to help develop concentration. If, however, you find yoga practice too difficult, then perform all actions in the thought of me. By this means too, you shall achieve final success. But if even during activity you cannot think of me, then give me your intentions. Ever striving to discipline your mind, offer to me the fruits of your every labor. Now this part of Bhagavad Gita, why it is one of my favorite is because here Krishna is very practical in his counsel. He's saying that yes, I will be able to rescue you from the ocean of mortality if you will venerate me, if you will be contemplating on me, if you will be dedicating all your thoughts to me. And if you still find that this is difficult, although yoga is one of the ways to develop concentration by which you can focus all your thoughts on God alone, but if you still find that difficult, then dedicate all the actions to me. And even if during the actions you are not able to focus your mind, then give the fruits of labor to me and stay non-attached, and that is how you will be able to attain me, and that is how you are going to succeed. So the beauty of this scripture is that there cannot be more practical approach than this, that yes, step by step here Krishna himself is guiding to his devotee that what you need to do. And the thing now here is that first of all we have to, the first step often which comes in a devotee's life is that first he has to understand that there is a need to find God in this world. Otherwise he will not even take that first step, and that is why Krishna is saying that I will be able to rescue you from this ocean of mortality. But how do we understand? There are times in everybody's life when suddenly things they happen, or after a few lives, or after some hiccups in the life, person starts realizing maybe the life is not giving me what I'm asking from it, or maybe there is a lot of injustice in the world, or the world is not giving me my due. If those are the things which are happening in your life, then see them as one of the reminders that God is sending to you, so that you can take that first step towards God. And that is why in our scriptures, in our other scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam or other Hindu scriptures, it is said that Vairagya is the first step which takes one towards God. And what is Vairagya? It is that sense of dissatisfaction from the world, from the things the way they are going, because somewhere deep we have this understanding that there must be more to life, there must be more to than this mundane existence that I am living. There cannot be an endless pendulum-like existence from joy to sorrow and sorrow to joy. So when that starts coming, the step that here Krishna is telling us is that yes, if you will venerate me, if you will dedicate all your actions to me, and you will live in my thoughts, if you will contemplate on me, then you will attain me, and which is exactly saying that you can transcend all the pendulum like existence, and you can transcend all the sufferings which are coming in your way. And then he gives us this step by step the pathway. But often we find that this is not going to be easy. If somebody decides that, okay, I'm going to focus all my attention on God now, even in my day-to-day activities, then this becomes difficult. Of course it is difficult, because as Swami Kriyananda said, that this is a Leela which is happening, and God is the master. He has created the Leela. He is himself the playwright of this whole thing. So obviously he has not made this thing easy for anybody. But then he said, the beauty is that if this delusion is almost as strong as he is, if not stronger, then when we go to him, when we pray to him, and when we tell him that, God, this is too difficult for me, please help me, then he is there. He is always there to help us. He is in fact very eager to help us. That is how all the saints have said it. And in that help, once we ask him that this is difficult, please help me to focus my mind on you, or please help me in my techniques to concentrate my mind is too restless, then the help comes. And with that help, in fact, this is something which we need to understand, that even when we have yoga techniques, now many of us already have yoga techniques in different ways, in different forms, but never practice those techniques without first praying to God and without first bringing him into the picture, because otherwise those techniques can remain just mechanical. And if when we pray to God that please help me to practice, because the end result, after what are we going to do after practicing the technique? The final goal is to live in the presence of God all the time. That is what Krishna is saying here, that yes, I have given you techniques which will help you to concentrate the mind, but they are not the end point. The end point is that how are we leading the life after practicing the technique? Are we able to live from moment to moment in the thought of God? That is what is the end point, or what is the goal of our life. And this is exactly when all the saints, they lead their life. When we see almost all the saints, they were leading, whether it was Christ, whether it was Guru Nanak or any other saint or Buddha, they were leading their life from one moment to another in contemplation of God, and so attuned their life was that, as Yogananda said, that I have killed Yogananda long ago, now nobody dwells in this body but God. So end result, or the goal for all of us, is that point. We all have to aspire to that point when we can say with the same confidence as Yogananda was saying, that now nobody lives in this body but God. And how is that going to happen? By leading our life from one moment to another in contemplation of God. Now very recently, now this seems too big a task for us, which it is, because we do think that how is it going to happen, and there are some people, those who have walked on this path, and when they have walked on the path, especially in the recent past, then they show us the way. And one of such high soul, I would say, was Frank Laubach, and I was reading his book, which is which I would sincerely recommend to you, The Letters of a Modern Mystic. And Frank Laubach was a American missionary. He was posted in Philippines, and he was working for these boys, which was basically an Islamic community. These boys were Moros, and he was helping them. Those were illiterate people, and he was helping them in different ways too. He was educating them, but at the same time, in his mid-40s, he had this inspiration that he's not doing enough, and he felt that he has to live his existence in a way that at each moment of his life he should be living in tune with God, practicing the presence of God from one moment to another. And when this inspiration came to him, people around him said, this is going to be difficult, and he did say that yes, it is difficult, but he said this is how the Christ lived, and anything less than this will be like not living up to the mark. So he started, and he said initially, if anybody has to practice, he can start with just 1 hour of his waking time, and he called it the gaming with minutes, as he put it. So he said you can choose, let's say if somebody's sleeping for 8 hours in the whole day, and 16 hours is the waking time for him, so he can choose any 1 hour during that period which is comfortable for him. And during that 1 hour, from one moment to another, at least once in every minute, he has to live in the presence of God. And how he can do that? By talking to him, by having a constant dialogue with him, by sharing with him whatever it is, whatever things or circumstances are going through in his life, or maybe singing or chanting to him, or by looking into the eyes of the Guru. There could be many ways. In fact, one can be really adventurous by how he wants to spend time in the presence of God, in how many different ways. And as he spends his time, you will see that, as he was also seeing, that initially it will be very difficult, but maybe for 1 hour you are able to do, and with varying success, maybe to 30%, 50% or whatever degree. But gradually he was able to spend more and more time in the presence of God. And the time came when he was able to spend almost half of the day in the presence of God, and then almost 2/3, and then almost 90%. And then there came a point when he said that I started missing God, which is to say that if time passed, which was in fact passing, when he was not in contemplation of God, he used to feel that he used to become dry, and he used to feel that dryness in his heart, and he used to feel that as if something precious he has lost. So he said that why not to practice? Otherwise also so many times we are talking to ourselves. There is a kind of self-talk which is always going on in our mind. So he said, why not to replace that self-talk with talking to God? That is all what we have to do. And he did say that yes, it is going to be difficult, but there are many rewards which are going to come in our way. First of all, he said there are not going to be any failure in this game, because even if you are able to practice whatever little time, that is going to help you in so many ways. You will feel the presence of God, you will feel his touch in your life, you will feel uplifted. And he said that this is something which will come your way. And all the time, in fact, I would like to quote from his book one excerpt which he wrote there. That how this concentration, this game was helping him. He writes that this concentration upon God is strenuous, but everything else has ceased to be so. I think now more clearly, I forget less frequently. Things which I did with the strain before, I now do easily with no effort whatever. I worry about nothing, I lose no sleep, I walk on air a good part of the time. Now just look at the rewards. Even the mirror reveals a new light in my eyes and face. I no longer feel in a hurry about anything. Everything goes right. Each minute I meet calmly as though it were not important. If he is there, the universe is with me. My task is simple and clear. Nothing can go wrong except one thing, that is, that God may slip from my mind if I do not keep on my guard. Now this is something which we have to keep in mind, because yes, everything else will flow in your life smoothly, which I also started practicing some time back, that how these things happen. And I did see that yes, all the activities are happening the way they have to happen. Solutions are coming. Even the people, those who were looking you with different eyes, they start looking you differently when you are practicing this. But you have to be on your guard all the time, because even a moment's slip of attention can just take you away, and you never know for how many minutes or hours you just slip into the same rut of your mind, in which everything is happening but God is missing. But that is how he said this is going to be strenuous. He said that yes, it is going to be strenuous, but then by doing this activity, which he said is the only activity for which God has sent us, for which God has created us, because all the saints, if you see Saint Augustine, in fact, at one time said that Thou has created us for Thyself, and our hearts would be restless until they find rest in Thee, which is to say that there is no other purpose of life, but if we will not spend our life in contemplation of God, as Krishna is also saying in these shlokas, then we would be wasting our lives, or we would be just filling it with fillers, and in that way we will be missing the point for which we have been created. And that is why our hearts, as Saint Augustine was saying, are restless. They will not find rest until they find rest in Thee. So the rewards, as friends, he was saying, they are going to be enormous. Your life will become a kind of effortless, solution oriented. And not only that, at many moments Laubach writes that there were times when he could listen to God's voice absolutely clearly. It was as if God was talking to him one-on-one. And there were two such instances which I picked up from the book, and I'm going to share here with you. The first time when God was talking to him, it was like this, that I too, by my very nature, this is God speaking to Laubach, am hungry with an insatiable hunger for the love of all of you, just as your love reaches out at your highest moments to all the people about you. So child, even I, God, whom people have foolishly feared and flattered for my gifts, I want love and friendship more than I want groveling subjects. So while we love each other, child, my share is as keen as yours. Aren't those words beautiful? Where God himself is saying that I am thirsty for your love, I am hungry for your love. Is it not the same what Yogananda said, that God has everything but only your love, and he always misses that love? And unless each one of us will make individually love to God, he's not going to come in our life, and we are not going to be completely contented with our life. And this is what Laubach also found that when he said that when we have that personal dialogue with God all the time, we see that there is a personal individuality which starts unfolding, because each one of us as a soul is an individualized expression of the Spirit. But that individual expression will not be able to unfold completely if it remains hidden, if we are not bringing it to the fore, if we are not talking to him. Another moment, God was speaking to him very clearly. He said, child, just as the rice needs the sunshine every day and could not grow if it had sun only once a week or 1 hour a day, so you need me all day of every day. People over all the world are withering because they are open toward God only rarely. Every waking minute is not too much. Now that is a big statement. Every waking minute is not too much, he said. And that is the reason why humanity is withering. That is the reason why God himself is saying that humanity is not living up to the mark, because humanity is missing the point because they are not living in contemplation of God. And this reminds me of Ma Ananda, where there were two doctors who came to meet her, and they said, Ma, we practice in Europe, and please guide us. How can we help our patients? What is your counsel? And Ma said that unless you remove the roots of a disease, you are just, plastering the surface. You're not helping anything. And then she said the root cause of all sufferings, whether they are physical, mental, emotional, is that today man is living in forgetfulness of God. And so she said, imagine, just you see that this is a human body. And this human body, she said, is like a tree where the roots are here. The brain is our root, the spine is our trunk, and the nerves are the branches of the tree, and all the billions and trillions of cells which form multiple organs, they are like the leaves of the tree. And then she said, now imagine, if you're just watering the leaves of a tree, do you think that nourishment will reach the tree? Because the nourishment, if you want to nourish the tree, it has to be nourished into the roots. You have to water the roots of the tree. So similarly, she said that in each breath that we take, through the breath, the prana is being fed into the roots of this tree, into the brain. And that is what Yogananda said, that prana enters through the medulla. It nourishes the brain, and through the brain and the spine, it flows through the nerves into all the organs. Now, what happens is, Anandamayi Ma said, because of the desires, because of the restlessness, the prana becomes impure, and as a result, diseases happen. Now, when we become attentive to each breath, and in each breath we become aware, and we chant a mantra or we chant Om with it, then the prana in each breath becomes purified. And when that purified prana enters into the roots of our tree, then there can never remain any disease. And that is what we do in our practices. If you see, Hong So is a Bij mantra which we chant in each breath. Similarly, when we practice Kriya and we chant Om, we are feeding the roots of this tree with the purified prana. And with that purified prana, our body, our mind, our soul is going to always remain healthy. Even if there are diseases, they are going to just dissolve away. I was reading another book on alternative medicine, and there the author writes that there is only one sovereign physician in this whole universe, and that is God. Because the diseases, he said, sometimes come to heal the illnesses of the soul. And for how many times, we just miss that point. Sometimes, diseases come, and yes, we rush to the doctors and we think that they do their best. Yes, they do their best, and we also do our best. But I'm also a physician, and we know as a physician how much we can do. Every conscientious physician, I think, knows that the credit belongs where? This reminds me another story where Ramakrishna said that Ramakrishna Paramhansa said that God smiles twice. He said the first time he said he smiles when the patient comes to the doctor, and the doctor says, yes, I'll be treating you and you will be all right with my treatment. And so God smiles when he listens that. And later on he smiles, he said, when the patient is better because the karma is done, whatever karma came to him, and it is all tied over, and whatever, because different things might have happened, maybe some prayers have helped him to get over it, and the patient gives all the credit to the doctor, that doctor, because of you have got better. So God again smiles, because the key here is that the credit belongs no doubt to that sovereign physician who is doing it all. Because if, let us say, anything happens in a life, whatever nature, if the suffering comes, because as I said in the beginning, that is the starting point. When sufferings come, whether they are of physical nature or emotional nature or any kind of suffering, that's a reminder that this is not your permanent place. That is the first step of vairagya which can happen if we understand that yes, it's God sent, and during that time if we speak to God that yes, please help me to understand my lesson, I will quickly learn my lesson, I'm sure that the time of healing will shorten quickly, because that is why the illness has come, that is why the diseases have come, because they want to heal us from the illnesses of the soul. And once we learn our lesson, that is what it was intended for. So let me conclude this satsang with this final statement, that if there is any panacea in this whole universe, that is God. And that is why Yogananda was saying that always during your day, whatever you are doing, he wrote actually a very beautiful poem, God, 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 which we can sing this evening and at every moment. And I would sincerely recommend this poem that yes, all of us should read it and memorize it. And during the day, it will be a wonderful way to keep God's presence in our mind if we just repeating this prayer to ourselves. So let's conclude this satsang with this beautiful chant, and Swamiji has given beautiful music to it also. From the depths of slumber as I ascend the spiral stairway of wakefulness, I will whisper, whisper, God, God, God. Thou art the food, and when I break my fast of nightly separation from Thee, I'll taste Thee and mentally say, God, God, God. No matter where I go, the spotlight of my mind will ever keep turning on Thee. In the battle din of activity, my silent war cry will be, God, God, God. When boisterous storms of trials shriek and worries howl at me, I'll drown their noises loudly chanting, God, God, God. My mind dreams, dreams with threads of memories. On that magic cloth will I emboss, God, God, God. The night in time of deepest sleep, peace dreams and sings joy, joy. My joy comes ever singing more, God, God, God. Waking, eating, working, sleeping, dreaming, serving, meditating, chanting, divinely loving, my soul will constantly hum unheard by any. God, God, God. Let's sit inside.